I'm WLOX Chief Meteorologist Mike Reader.
I'm Tommy Richards, WLOX Meteorologist.
And I'm meteorologist Carrie Duncan.
We're here to talk about the WLOX special on surviving Katrina. This is actually the first time we've seen this, so we're probably going to be just as surprised as other first-time viewers. Of course, there's Rebecca. Rebecca's our main anchor, female anchor here, and she was in the destruction of the storm.
She had to jump out of her second story window. Most everybody, of course, knows that.
Of course, my question is, I guess, to my fellow meteorologists, what do you think about somebody working here at the station who listens to us all the time, staying in their house when this type of storm's headed this way?
And we say, leave so often, and they stay there.
Yeah, and there are so many different reasons that people stay, and we all know. And I mean, they escaped with their lives, so you just have to be happy about that.
I can't help but think that a lot of attitudes that prevailed will be changed after this,
yeah.
For sure.
You have to wonder, though, for how many years will that attitude stay the same?
Yeah.
You know what Brad just said there, you're not going to believe what you're about to see. I think that really sums it up. I mean, and I still don't believe it 3 months after.
Well, what I've been asked by several people is, what did you think during the storm as it was going on about what was going on around you? And the interesting thing for all of us is we didn't know. Other than the wind and what we were hearing, we had no visuals. I just wonder what we'd have thought if we'd have been able to see as we were talking about what was going on out there. Would it have changed our perspective and our approach into how we have done things?
Well, we were stuck inside for so long, too. I mean, from at least 7 in the morning till almost 7 at night.
And over the years, we have had just a lot in the way of new technology, cameras that we can see what's going on around town and stuff like that. We can do a lot better today, so we see a lot more in the way of what's happening with the storm as it's happening.
If you'll remember, during Hurricane George back in '98, our tower cam, at least down in Gulfport, stayed. And we were in the eye of the storm, and we were in relative calm, and yet we were seeing Gulfport being ripped apart. I don't know what we'd have done if we'd have seen that same tower cam and watched that barge come up over the shore like it did. I mean, it surely would have been a better tool to tell people what they were facing.
It's so amazing, all of the stuff that was going on before the storm. That, you know, they're talking about the condos and the drilling and whatnot. It's all so different now. I mean, for places that were going to build condos, the land's prime for it now. Now it's just going to be city zoning issues and whatnot.
Well, another interesting thing I find is we're talking about saving trees and all the battles that have gone on along this coast to save these beautiful oak trees from man's onslaught. And look what Mother Nature did to them.
Right.
Some of those trees that men were trying to save are basically gone. They're piles of wood.
And then some of them are still there. You know, some of them were strong and withstood. I mean, I was driving down 90 the other day, and I saw live oak starting to bloom back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was exciting for me.
A lot of those trees are in shock, and they will probably die within the next year or so.
Of course, now this is the Broadwater property right here that was scheduled for demolition again by man, and Katrina took care of the job.
I get excited, honestly, thinking about what it's going to be like in, you know, really a year, but especially 5 years, and what is going to happen, and how it is going to be changed, because it's obviously Katrina changed it, and now it's up to, you know, South Mississippians to let that continue to grow and blossom.
I have concerns that, is the change going to be good, or is it going to be, has our soul been ripped apart? In other words, the little fishermen's cottages down in Biloxi that, to be honest with you, weren't high dollar properties, but the people that lived in them, the characters, the stories, what's going to happen to that? You know, that's what Biloxi and Gulfport is as much as anything. Not these big high-rise condos, not these casinos. It's the people that are down here. the soul of the coast? What's going to happen to the soul of the coast?
I think it's still going to be here. I mean, I have to believe that it will be.
There's going to be change everywhere,
Yeah.
whether it's good or bad. I guess is a relative term depending on who's witnesses it. But
I mean, you drive down through Destin, and people will say, "Well, yeah, this is nice. But it's also plastic. It's also temporary." So I don't know. I'm gonna.
Well, I mean, every building is temporary. I mean, you look at what Katrina did, and I mean, that's a simple fact that Mother Nature can come and destroy almost anything.
Yeah, buildings, you're right, are temporary, but
I mean,
the heart
and
and
so-
soul of a city isn't.
Right. So
It shouldn't be. It may be, but it shouldn't be.
you know, one thing
There
that
was
concerns
so
me.
much going on before the storm. I'm just watching this video. It's amazing.
Yeah, well,
You
there was a
forget
lot happening.
because we're so consumed with after Katrina stuff now.
One thing that concerns me, though, Carrie, is that we have so few people around here. A lot of people are gone. I understand, obviously, why they're gone. But I'm wondering if they're going to come back, because if the population base, the workforce, is not there to satisfy the business in this area, what's going to happen to the businesses? Are they going to die off?
I think it will
or
all
what?
come back. It will all work out, and it will all take care of itself. I mean, it's just how nature is. There's so much money that is coming into this area that it's going to be able to regenerate itself back. Oh, this makes me nauseous looking at that.
And of course, this was an interesting scenario because you realize as we followed this storm had died out once. Matter of fact, this was originally Tropical Depression 11. It died out and went away, and when it came back, they decided to make it Tropical Depression 12. And then, of course, it just kept developing and took that loop to the south. I mean, everybody
And it just kept sinking south.
Yeah, and
Now, this was me. I was working for you.
now this was the Friday night, or the Thursday night probably, because I was in New Orleans attending the taping of the Wheel of Fortune that was being done in New Orleans. As a matter of fact, it was kind of interesting. Dave Vincent and I, the news director, were huddling at the taping of Wheel of Fortune talking about what we were going to do. And at that point, I told him, well, I'm going back a day early. Because we did have some computer models that indicated from the very beginning that this storm was going to go into the mouth of the river.
Right, and one thing that we do here at WLOX, we don't really steer off of what the National Hurricane Center is forecasting. So when I was up there talking about how it says it's going into Apalachicola, but we're still going to watch it, that's really our, I guess, pretty much motto of what we do. I mean, wouldn't you agree with that, Mike?
Oh yeah, I mean that's what you have to do. You have to. You can't. I think there's too much, at least at this day and age, and people that see this DVD years down the road, it may change. There's too much conjecture sometimes on behalf of television meteorologists with their new Viper models and such
Yeah.
forth and so
Oh
forth.
yeah, like up in New York, they've got their Doppler 2 million.
But,
and you know, it's like, what is that? What is Doppler 2 million?
The one thing I did notice
It's just
it was,
advertising.
remember Dennis, the storm, the same season early before this, there were a few meteorologists that were talking about the Viper model and what it said. I never heard anybody talk about the quote Viper model with Katrina or any storm since. I don't know what happened there, but I think maybe somebody realized that it wasn't the best way to go.
Yeah,
Now-
that kind of went away in a hurry.
In
didn't
a
it?
hurry.
Now, did we all? I know I boarded up, but I boarded up during Dennis, and I did it by myself because I live by myself, and so I boarded up. And honestly, to this day, I still have a few boards up on my window.
You can take them down now. It's after hurricane season.
But I mean, you were boarded up, and you were saying how
I am always boarded up. I told you, when I leave this job, if people remember me as that shutter guy, I will feel like I've done the community a service because I believe in protecting your windows from the wind.
Open up your own business, that shutter guy.
You know, let me tell you something. Talking about that, with this particular storm, my son's house is right behind Earth in this brick, and he actually had some shutters that we put up ripped off his windows.
wow.
So that'll show you the power of this storm.
And
yeah.
you'll see, if you ride around, you'll see brick walls that are down, where bricks are literally ripped
Yeah.
Right.
from the walls.
You know what the big question about this storm is going to be in the future?
What you think?
What about the tornadoes? How
Oh,
many
yeah.
times have we had that question asked?
I can't tell you how many people have called the Weather Center. Can you tell me where there are tornadoes? And the hard part about it is that we don't have any information from during the storm because everything was blown away.
In the post-storm analysis, the reason there weren't is because the main radar site that would have detected them, which tornadoes in a hurricane, by the way, folks, are a moot point, but that radar site went down early. That radar site was in Slidell. The eye of Hurricane Katrina went right over that radar site. So needless to say, they were blind.
And the Weather Service over in Slidell was down for a couple of 3 weeks,
Right,
weren't they?
exactly.
Y'all, I can remember this and watching this video and everybody preparing and just that sick feeling in my stomach and just thinking, hopefully it won't come here. Because at this point, I think it was like a Category 5. I mean, I think it had kicked up to a Category 5 at that point when they were starting to move the shrimp boats in.
Well,
because it was a beautiful day on Saturday, and the first part of Sunday was even nice. And then the clouds and the rain started moving in, and it went to all hell real quick.
the significance about that video of those boats going to protected harbor and Back Bay is the majority of those boats are now up on shore
Right,
in
and
the
they're
tops
still
of
there.
trees, and 3 months later, they're still there.
Notice the projected path has moved considerably west now in just
Yeah.
a couple of days.
I wonder when this is. What does that say? 7 a.m. on Saturday, maybe. That had to have been on Saturday. Look at the eye, right there.
Right there.
God, that's when I really started feeling nauseous. I seriously thought I was going to have to go. I thought I was going to get sick.
There's a smart person right there.
Yeah.
Are you leaving? Are you heading out? Yes, right now.
And I mean,
175 mile per hour winds.
Yep.
That's bad. I was here through Camille, and I know some of those houses are going to go up like matchboxes.
Boy,
Down
she
there.
nailed it.
I sure wish we had her on air with us that night, because that's a seasoned veteran right there. And, you know, one of Biloxi official, the day after Hurricane Katrina landed, said Camille can be blamed for 200 more deaths today. And what he was talking about is the people that didn't leave stayed because they made it through Camille, and they thought because they made it through Camille that they could make it through Katrina. And I always wonder how many of those people that unfortunately perished thought that at the time.
And
And
yet
you
to
know-
come, those who say, well, I made it through Katrina, I can handle anything. So
Right.
that mistake, that trend, is likely to continue with some people.
And one thing I vowed never to do again when working a hurricane is mention another hurricane from the past and comparing the present one to the one in the past, because every storm is different, and I think we have to focus.
Well, but I think when you did mention that you were like, when you did mention and somewhat compare it to Camille, or you know, when you weren't saying it's going to be the same as, but when you mentioned Camille, that really sparked a lot of people to get scared and to evacuate. I
Well,
really think that it helped save some lives.
My term was Camille, only bigger, but that
But still,
description,
you
I don't
said-
know. I don't know.
But still, that people heard that because they still weren't thinking anything like Camille could ever hit this area again.
I know.
And it was so much worse.
And you know something? I'm afraid people are going to think nothing like Katrina could ever hit this area again.
Right.
And what we all have to understand is it could happen next year. And
know,
that's
that-
just something we have to. Now, this to me was amazing, heartwarming. I mean, to take these, I would have never thought that you could put porpoises in a swimming pool for some reason.
You know, I was out the day after Katrina, and I actually saw one of the sea lions swimming in the lazy river at the Grand Casino in Gulfport, and its eyes were a little red. And
Well, it wasn't supposed to be there, though, was it?
oh, well, no, but they had found a couple of walruses at an intersection, and they found a few sea lions, one in somebody's backyard and another one somewhere else, and this one had washed up somewhere near the pool, and they ended up getting it into the lazy river just to kind of let it chill out.
Unfortunately, with the sea lions, one of them they survived. The other one they had to destroy at least one sea lion.
Hmm. Were they out in the water?
Yes, they're out in the water.
This makes me
I will
a little
never,
mad.
as long as I live, understand this.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, and
this
some
is-
people, you know, that's what they do. They live for the thrills and they live for the adventures, but they also
die
know,
for the thrills
yeah.
and die for the adventures.
That's right.
WLOX-TV is now covering the storm around the clock for people hungry for storm information.
You know, a lot of times people only see, you know, us on TV, like you there. We saw that upstairs shot. One of our producers up there, our behind-the-scenes crew, just did an amazing job. I mean, we were working around the clock and just tired and worn out and stressed out and worried about people and worried about our property. And everybody was here to make sure that we were able to be there for, you know, the people of South Mississippi watching and just clinging to anything we were saying.
Yeah, kudos to the staff, really.
Yeah.
We all have homes and families and worries about these issues, and, you know, really the staff did a tremendous job.
I gained a lot more respect for WLOX. Not that I didn't have any before, but I gained a lot more during the storm, just seeing how we really
Well, here's
stuck
a guy
together.
right here you have to kind of feel for. He walked
Oh,
into this
man.
job the day before, and, I mean,
Didn't something like that happen with Camille, though?
no, Wade
Guy?
had been in
Wade
the
had been
business
there,
quite
okay.
a while, yeah, but this guy is, the only thing that
Wow.
was able to help him is he is a military man,
Yeah.
and you're used to hitting the ground and taking charge, and that works real well with military guys that are trained to take orders. It may not work so well with civilians who are saying, wait,
Look at how
I'm in
tired he
charge.
looks already.
Oh yeah, Brian Adams. Yeah, Brian.
I mean, it was really starting to just sink in.
Yeah, we're going on adrenaline after
Yeah.
a day or so.
Oh,
But the
yeah.
interesting thing is, look how far out this is. We started covering this storm much earlier than we would normally cover a storm because we just knew that this was going to be a bad
Potential
situation.
surge of 18 feet, you know? And that's what you typically, you know, 18 to 25 feet with a Category 5. And they were saying that it was
The
gonna be
first
a-
clue that the surge was going to be higher than 18 feet was when the river flood forecast came out, and they were forecasting flood stages
In the 20s?
in the mid
22,
20s,
something like that, yeah.
23,
Wow.
25 feet, and that we knew that wasn't rain. So we knew at that stage that they were talking about storm surges of 25 feet or better, and of course, in some cases, storm surge was above 30 feet.
Those winds right there, 165 miles an hour.
Wow, this brings back a lot of really hard memories.
With the upshot of an event such as this, it puts us all on the same page, the same common
Right.
ground. Because when we all woke up and finally went outside, nobody was any better than anybody else.
No.
We were
I mean,
all
I-
trying to survive.
Yeah, and then seeing the video, the overhead shots and whatnot, I can remember that Monday night, I was like, God, the sounds of helicopters, it's just going to be eerie. And they were everywhere.
Lonnie Myrick.
Tell me, why did you decide to come here?
Well, mainly because that's what she said do.
There's another smart guy.
Smart
Now,
woman.
were you guys scared of the storm? That's why you decided to come?
Well, we didn't want to stay at home with that Category 5 because I had just moved to the coast when Camille came in, and I sure didn't want anything worse than Camille. So Camille was my first experience with a hurricane.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, but at least he had enough sense to
Oh,
realize
yeah.
that
Note the price of gas in the background, and then recall what happened to the price of gas in this immediate area right after
Oh, yeah.
Katrina.
Be too late. It grieves me that I think we have some hurricane fatigue. That because Ivan tipped over to the east right at the last that missed us, and Dennis never quite came this way, and that people had boarded up and
You know, Dennis was the first time I boarded up. Dennis was the first time I boarded up, and
Well, I think the governor probably was right in saying that people were tired of leaving because
Yeah.
of 2 near misses,
And
and
it gets
actually there were more than
expensive.
that. Yeah, there it is. But how we could not get their attention early enough, I don't know. Because I think maybe one of the things.
First of all, we were supposed to evacuate the last hurricane, and nothing really happened. And by the eye being in New Orleans, and I was gonna get just the wind and rain, I don't think it was necessary for anybody.
Not nervous at all? Did you at least stock up on your
I
supplies?
got supplies, but still, we want to use them with you, regardless of where you go.
I know that with it being so bad, are you worried about if you need help, people being able to get you? You're not rescuers.
That's what they're here for, so if I need them, they should be able to come get me.
Oh, man.
that's not a good outlook, because rescuers can't risk their lives in the height of a storm to try to save someone else. They can only go out when it's safe for them to be out, and then they're still risking their lives.
I sit there and watch that lady and say, what were you watching? She said it's only going to be wind and rain. I mean, we were
And
telling her.
but the eye going over New Orleans, it seems like most people at least realize being on the east side of the storm is the worst.
Well-
And especially how we are positioned, it's almost like a little funnel with that little bit of marshland sticking out on Louisiana. It's like a funnel, like to shoot straight up to us.
As it begins to get dark here along the
Ah,
Mississippi coast,
that's
the
not there
last
anymore.
bit of boarding
So-
up is underway. Here in Biloxi at O'Charlie's, the crews are putting up the last boards. We saw
Wow, leaves on the trees. Remember those?
Well,
Well,
right,
here's
the
the-
building is there. Remember the building? Remember the restaurant?
The interesting
I haven't
thing,
seen that part of Highway 90. So
The interesting thing
know.
here is
Well, that's not there anymore.
Marcia's talking about him putting shutters on the windows. This goes to say, and I didn't make this statement up, I heard it. You run from the water and you hide from the wind. And if you're in the impact zone of the surge, shutters aren't going to help.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Had it had been,
elevated.
Category 1 or 2,
Yeah, yeah.
it would have helped, but not anything.
Oh, that
this
building
big.
would still be there and in perfect condition.
Maybe a little wet.
Just got off almost Slidell weather. The latest thing that we have is that we're looking at somewhere in the next hour and a half, to have tropical storm type winds should be coming in. This should help.
must have been late Sunday night or probably
Sunday,
Yeah.
We expect the eyewall to pass in this area of the island storm around 7 o'clock.
Ah,
Well, this is when they finally realized
look at
it
how
was
beautiful.
going to. The night before and usually the day after a hurricane are two of your most beautiful days because of the clouds and the. I somehow wonder when that picture was taken.
I can't help but think it was not that Sunday afternoon or early
Well, it's-
evening.
It could have been that Saturday, though. Saturday was a gorgeous day. It was
Yeah.
hot. It was gorgeous.
Subsiding, sinking air in advance of the
Yeah.
storm.
Mm.
These guys,
Really?
Ah,
firemen and policemen, you always talk about firemen and policemen about being quote, quote, heroes, and I think the term hero is used entirely too much, and they probably don't see themselves as heroes, but I mean, just the Herculean effort that these guys had to put in during the storm,
and after all
the storm,
hours.
still with their families in no homes or minimal homes. And believe me, these guys don't get paid well.
No.
So just
They love what
everything
they're doing.
put together, what would we be within a society without guys like that?
Right.
I mean, that's what you have to think.
New Orleans may know. You recall all the policemen, police personnel
Bailing out.
who bailed after Katrina. Yeah.
I mean, some.
I'm not sure of the buildings that are built right now, how hurricane resistant, if you will, they are.
Steve did a tremendous job. Steve, Brad, all of our reporters
Yeah.
did a tremendous job uncovering this storm.
Now, one thing you will not see is at the height of the storm, any of our people out there talking about how bad it is. That's a policy that we have had here at the station, is we're not going to put people's
that
lives
eye.
in jeopardy to tell people what they should already know.
Well, and one thing I really hadn't thought about, Mike, until I heard you talking about after, is the storm surge. Once it had gotten up to that Category 5, it didn't have time because it was so close before it started dying down a little bit. The storm surge didn't have time to go down, and that's one of the reasons why it was so high still.
Yep.
Where is he?
I don't know if it was Brad and his crew. They're in the back of a pickup truck somewhere. It might be right here that he's standing there briefing, and then all of a sudden, and we're not going to see it, I don't think, but all of a sudden the water got up to the back of the pickup truck. Just that quick. And they had to shut down and haul butt to get out of there. That's how
That
quick
water
the water
comes
came
in
up.
quick. I mean, Rebecca even, it's like it was, filling up our house, like halfway up the stairs. And there's Steve talking about it now.
You know, another thing as we're talking about this, people kept asking me, well, when's it going to get here? When's it going to get here? Because it certainly seemed that at least Sunday night, things were calm for a while.
Yeah.
But then when that storm did hit here, it was almost instantaneous, and
then lingered and lingered.
And
And,
after the
then
fact,
everybody's like, when is the wind going to stop
when's it gonna get
blowing?
out of
I'm
here?
like, do you remember this storm took up the entire Gulf of Mexico? It's not going to stop for a while. It's got the whole backside that's got to get through here.
And I'm just wondering if maybe that contributed to some people's false sense of security, because it seemed like the brunt of the storm hit all at once, instead of like with a normal storm, you'll get waves of feeder band activity. I don't necessarily remember feeder band activity. I do know this: about midnight Sunday, I only lived 3 blocks from the station. I already had sent some folks to my house to get a nap, and I was going to walk out the door and go home. And I looked out the door, and things were getting worse and worse, and for some reason I said, nah, I don't think I better do that. And I went and found a place in the building to lay down, on a hard concrete floor, by the way. And it was fortuitous, because between midnight and about 4 o'clock in the morning, we went from a tropical storm to a full-blown hurricane. Did I say we don't send people out in this stuff? And
This was Patrice's first storm to cover.
And
she
was
had just gotten on television with
up in
us.
Young Reporter, new.
And she did a good job.
Well, yeah, this is still pre-storm.
Yeah, we don't really get shaken and baking until Monday morning around 7.
But notice the water's coming up, but the winds really aren't howling at this point. But this ought to tell us something right here. Look how far in advance the water's coming.
Piling up.
The storm hit, when it finally hit South Mississippi, it was a Category 3, and there's been some argument about that, but the winds were a Category 3. The surge, obviously, was Category 5 plus.
Yeah.
And one of the things I think as a result of this storm is the Saffir-Simpson scale is either going to be reworked or scrapped in favor of a new way of predicting storm surge. The one thing we need to do is figure out how to predict it with a model, and we need to append it to the hurricane advisories so we can tell the people out there what is happening, instead of saying, well, the Saffir-Simpson scale says, because it obviously doesn't go high enough.
Well, and again, like you say, and like every meteorologist says, every storm is different. I mean, people in Bay St. Louis had a good bit of damage from Tropical Storm Cindy this year. They had some flooding and whatnot. So every storm is different.
I think the duration had an awful lot to do with the storm surge itself. And the storm surge, obviously a product of when it was a Category 5 storm, the inertia of the surge itself as it moves on, toward the coast, eventually going from the Sound to Lake Bourne and over into the New Orleans area by way of Lake
and the
Pontchartrain.
size, the wind field with
yeah.
this thing
You
just
know,
allowed more
That would
water
be the
to be
duration
pushed.
of the storm was
Yeah.
obviously a factor of its size.
It's amazing to see the waves because, I mean, the Sound is just never like that.
Well, if you want to know about
anybody
waves,
that lives here knows that the sound just doesn't look like that. And now these rolling white caps.
if you want to know about waves, ask Rebecca, because that's one thing she said. They were sitting on a pile of debris, behind a pile of debris, and she said 6-foot waves were rolling in. Now, you got to remember, she's well north of the immediate coast, and the only thing that stopped those waves from hitting them was a dam of damaged houses acting as a dam.
And trees.
Dancing over the seawall there, and I'm really in the middle of Highway 90 right here, and this
wow.
water is getting deeper. We pulled up on Cowan Road and are headed north right now. I'm not going to stay here much.
Steve realizing he better get out of there.
Well, this is it.
Yeah.
This was what I was alluding to. This is where they were. This is where it got up to the back of a truck. Look at him. He went from ankles to knee deep right there. Now, you heard where he was?
On 90.
On Cowan Road 90. He was 2 blocks from where Rebecca was.
This is where Tony almost gets hit by a tree.
Yeah, this
I
is
get
right,
so-
I believe, at the end of DeBees Road, I
I
believe.
get,
Yeah, there's the flags.
oh,
That's where the flags were.
yeah.
What man argued
And Tony
over?
was just, I mean, she wanted to go out. She wanted to get the story. And as a reporter, that's great. But I'm a worrier. It's, I mean, there's a tree. And I mean, how long has that tree been there? Look how tall it is.
Well, I think
And
this
it
was the
snapped.
last of Tony's forays,
This was
because
the
I
last
think
of,
manager told her, no,
anyone's.
you're staying home.
Yeah. And so it's still dark.
But, I
And
look
so
at...
we were in-house from, I think, about at least 4 in the morning. There's still light on. So, no, that was before 3 because we lost power at 2:59 in the morning. That's when we lost power. And we had to go to generator.
The thing that amazes me, those 8 flags, all the battles between men over those flags.
A moot point
and
today.
Katrina made it a moot point. There is nothing down there that would even tell you that those flags were there.
They're talking about watching the streaming video.
Yeah.
And we had people from Denmark and, I mean,
Around
all
the world.
over the world watching. It was really amazing.
Like I said, we were part of the world press at that time, Little Biloxi, Mississippi.
Yeah, to get us on the map, we almost had to get wiped off the map, if you know what I mean.
And then there I am saying 18 to 22 feet possible. That was like the norm, and then it was higher in other places.
Well,
but we couldn't know. I mean, how were we to know?
Let's face it, that was the information we were getting.
Right.
Nobody.
You can't fathom more than that. I mean,
Well, again, there's something defective in the system that we can't come up with a better idea based on factors. With the supercomputers and the modeling capability we have today, we have to come up with a way to figure out a better way to do it. The Saffir-Simpson.
Terrified people trapped in houses watching water get higher and higher. Dispatchers are helpless to do anything but take names and locations for
and this is
rescues
like
after
the
storm.
lady that we saw earlier saying nobody needs to leave.
Yeah, I'm on the beach in Biloxi, and my apartment is coming apart. About 4 foot of water's underneath me. I'm on the 2nd floor.
Right now, there's nothing that we can do as far as coming to rescue you. 911.
I need help. Try to send help ASAP because we have a lot of people over here.
No emergency personnel can be on the road. Okay? That's why there was a mandatory evacuation.
911.
I'm right on the coastline. My house is filling up with water.
Okay, how deep is the water in your house?
The water is up to my kitchen counter.
To your kitchen
My house
counter?
is shaking. It's about ready to come down.
Okay, well, we don't have any emergency personnel out on the roads right now. I can't promise how long it'll be, but as soon as we can get somebody out to you, we will.
Oh, God, man, we're going to die.
Biloxi Police and Fire.
I just want to let you know that me and Mama are going to die. We're trapped in our house and it's falling apart.
Your house is falling apart? Are y'all in the attic?
Yeah. We cannot get to
You know, I read some articles and I've had some people tell me that they thought it was cold and callous that we played these. I think at the beginning of every hurricane season and when a storm comes in, we need to replay these over and over and over again.
It's just sad.
And don't worry, if it gets a little rockier than this, I'm sure that we will be moved as well. We're starting to get some damage.
Wow.
Reports of downed trees in at least one home, not far from here in the Suncoast community where the roof's already coming off. So this is just a sign of things to come.
And you notice it's now daylight.
Mm-hmm.
And look
Yeah.
at it, just relentless. Speaking of relentless.
You know, I can remember too setting up phone banks because we had lost all information that we were getting in for weather, and so we were really relying on the community that could still hear us and see us through battery operated televisions and radios to give us what they were seeing in their immediate community.
Now, what time is it here? 150 mile per hour wind. So it's still south of us.
28.8 north and 89.5
Yeah.
west.
Still puts it south of the coast because we're sitting at about 30. So this is when it's starting to move up on the mouth of the river.
But that puts us squarely in the that northeast quadrant, doesn't it? Wow.
You know, the interesting thing about this, you get on the air with every storm and you say, folks, historically these storms take a little jog to the right as they approach land. And you say it and you say it and you say it, and I don't think there has been, I can't remember a storm that hasn't done that. And unfortunately, this one did it, and it jogged it right across the mouth of the river and sent it right into us. And here's something else I just realized the other night. Did you guys realize that this thing hit on Sunday night and Monday morning?
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize that Camille hit on Sunday night and Monday morning?
morning?
I did not realize until I was reading a book the other day about that. So that's one thing that's just kind of eerie.
Still talk about the day that Hurricane Camille struck. Well, probably
of Camille,
15,
Judge.
20, 30 years from now, those of us who are still around will talk about the day that Hurricane Katrina struck. It will be a day long remembered. Katrina's legacy was just beginning.
I often wish I could just erase that memory, the memory of Katrina, just from my mind.
Well, I guess we all kind of in some way do, but I hope that the memory of Katrina stays in a lot of people's minds.
Right.
So it's easier to make them understand the massive capability of these storms. I hope people in other parts of the country that might have one of these head their way can get the story.
Yeah. Wow.
I still, every time I hear that and realize they were there and they were scurrying, realizing they were 2 or 3 blocks away from Rebecca and Ben, and had they only known,
Yeah.
they could have gone right over there.
Gotten them.
One of thousands of cars
Oh, just
Where
cars.
was
and-
that?
thrown around like toys. Look at this.
Wow.
This is someone's home video. We have a lot of that.
You know
Wow.
what? I think
Oh, look at the waves.
Lapping at the windows.
In some places, the water rises so high that it completely covers homes. And in other places, those who ride out the storm find
They're in
themselves
their
in
attic.
attics trying to stay alive.
we had some people here at the station in that situation. I won't
Yeah.
mention any names because I don't think they'd appreciate it, but we actually had some people that spent the night in the attic
Yeah. Look at
wondering.
That's looking down from the attic into a garage.
Yeah,
out
that's
there.
that's the garage door mechanism.
A hallway.
that. The hallway.
Nonetheless, the water perhaps.
Oh,
And then you have
8
to
feet
worry about
deep.
things in the water. I mean, the snakes and all of that.
You know, that's something I don't remember hearing any stories about problems.
I remember somebody saying they went up in their attic and there was a hornet's nest that was being all stirred up, and they were up there. They didn't have anywhere to go, and they turned around. There's a water moccasin at their feet.
Oh, okay, because I don't remember too many problems. Hearing too many problems. Watch this.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Do we actually have? We had our tower cam up, didn't we, Todd? When the tower went down,
Yeah.
Did we have that video in here? Because I remember talking about it and saying, "Oh, look at that."
This is looking out the front of the television
Yes.
station. Yeah.
The
And
tower's
these
not
cars that
down
are
yet.
parked right
Yeah.
here.
Otherwise,
I
Steve
can't
would not be
believe
standing
they're
where he
okay.
The tower is just to the left of that white vehicle right there. Let's
And
see
that
if he
big
shows
pine in
it.
the background, it's still there, but it sure looks a lot different.
There it is. You can just barely see it off the left of the screen. Does Steve Phillips today realize how lucky he was?
I think we all.
But I'm saying
realize
Steve's
we're
standing
lucky.
right there at the height of the storm.
Yeah.
It wasn't much after that tower went. Man, I didn't even know that. That's the most amazing thing, because that tower fell in such a way. Now, it did kick back and knock a hole in the front of the building, but
And
it fell
damaged
across
a
that
car.
parking lot, didn't hit one of those cars.
Oh no. There it is.
There it is right there. That's the tower.
The same tower that we lost a guy wire in George.
This is
There we go.
That's from our tower cam too.
This is issuing tornado warnings, but what they are telling folks is as this eyewall moves ashore, you're going to have tornadic-like activity as far as the winds. Now, we're starting to really get some movement on our roof structure right here in the studio at the present time. I rode out 2 storms here in Hurricane Elena and Hurricane George, and to be honest with you, I haven't seen the roof structure move like this in previous storms. So we
Well, that's
I remember
the
hearing
understatement.
those gusts. And feeling, once the roof came off there and also in the sales department, feeling the wind just whip through the building.
Now, that's not the eye of the storm. That is, we have a 2-mile blanker on our radar. So what you're seeing there is 2 miles of dead data. The eye did not come over our radar site. It was over the Pearlington area. So just so people won't think that.
Downtown Biloxi.
Yeah, what are we doing now?
This is
We're
when the roof
ripping
had started coming off.
This one we're moving
yeah.
out.
Moving.
See? And you know why?
What people have to appreciate is just in the weather office, that equipment we have is $250,000. And that's the reason we were moving it.
It's the strongest wind I've ever seen in my life.
I have to be honest with you, our studios are rocking and rolling right now.
Did you ever imagine that when you moved to South Mississippi, you'd be covering a storm like this?
I never imagined in my life that I would do anything like this.
And judging by the sound that we're hearing, we're kind of...
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, it's time to go.
There it goes. Look at that.
Part of the newsroom roof blows off, and there's a scramble to save equipment and set up a new broadcast center in a secure
There's
area.
famous
A huge
Hurricane
hole
Joe.
is now in the ceiling.
Yeah.
And even in the secure area, wind gusts overpower WLOX microphones.
I've just been passed a note, and you can probably tell by the expressions on our face, part of our newsroom, the roof is,
Well, I can feel the breeze.
is going away, and occasionally gust of wind will blow through here.
And now we have heard from Pascagoula, Bay St. Louis, Biloxi.
The good thing is that we were all on really little bitty TVs for most people at this point.
Well, you know, it's kind of interesting because at that stage of the game right there, I opted not to go on air, and I started what we called a shoring crew in the Navy. We went in and pulled timbers and plywood and everything out of the prop room. We nailed the prop room door shut, and we pulled heavy pieces of plywood and timber into the little room we were in with hammers and nails. And what we were doing is we were planning on shoring up the doors. At that point, we were going into, worst case scenario, survival mode. We were going to start nailing ourselves into the concrete rooms.
You know, that last radar shot.
Radar loop, yeah, where the eye's over Southern Hancock
Right,
County.
and I can remember calling my neighbors, the Ellermans, I live over in Long Beach, and saying, you know, guys, it looks like we're going to get a little bit of a break. The eye's going to move over, and I will be darned if that eye didn't just stretch north to south. And we, you know, that's what happened in, you know, Pass Christian, Long Beach, Gulfport, Biloxi, is that we were in that eye wall the whole time.
And the thing about it is, because the eye passed over Pearlington,
Look
but
at
because
them. Look
of
at those. Now those are heroes.
yeah, because of the eye wall replacement cycle it was undergoing, the eye wall of that storm was actually over Gulfport and Biloxi.
Yeah.
That's where the strongest winds were because
And Long Beach.
Well, the central eye collapsed, so it was redeveloping an outer eye, and that outer eye, which would be the strongest part of the storm, was sitting right over the top of us.
Yeah, that eye went from roughly 30 miles wide to about 50 or so.
Yeah, and of course that just blew the wind field with it. And of course when you do that, the outer part of the eye stretches right over the top of you. And then it stayed over the top of us.
Oh my
This was like 9
gosh.
people in a SUV that decided they needed to get out at the last minute. And the car got washed off, and those were some of those firemen. Again, that's not the eye of the storm.
And, you know, one thing to point out is that you can see over on the left-hand side of the screen, that was Rayanne, that's how we were talking to people and putting them on the air, putting a microphone on the phone and talking to people.
You saw that we were briefing off a laptop. We had a man with our weather vendor down here installing some equipment, and he was going to train us on it. Remember that, Tommy?
Mm-hmm.
About 2 hours after he got here and started training us, I said, look, if you think we're going through training now, you got another thing coming. His name was Joe Zakowski.
Hurricane Joe.
Hurricane Joe, and he actually became an integral part. Now, he's manipulating this new equipment right here. This is called ESP Sentinel, and it gives us a little bit better way of manipulating radar and everything. But once we had to rip apart our weather office and move our gear, we actually used Joe's personal laptop and his personal email account to get data. And I told Joe, I said, Joe, you just get on the internet and find anything related to this storm you can. Don't ask me, don't tell me. You bring it up, and I'll talk about it. And that's what we did. We zoomed in. A bird?
Look at that.
It was his own personal account. There it is right there. It was his own personal account. He had an out-of-state number, and he could dial out of state.
But this was the last that we had from him. I mean, it didn't last through the whole storm.
No, it didn't. Well, it lasted while the storm was coming ashore.
Right.
See, right there, the storm's coming ashore.
Right,
So
yeah.
at that point, so we were briefing the red areas. People talk about tornadoes. First off, there were no tornado warnings issued because they issued a blanket warning of tornadic type activity in the eye wall. So all we were doing was briefing the red spots circulating and saying, folks, this is coming towards you. If you're in the path of this red spot, take cover because it's probably tornadic winds.
You know, throughout the course of the day, we kept having people come up to us and say, how long is this wind going to blow like this?
I know.
And we would tell them 10, maybe 12 hours.
12 more hours.
yeah.
And they just couldn't believe it. And that was the case.
Yeah.
We've had tropical storm force winds probably up to 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. We didn't get out of that until probably 7 or 8.
What you are about to see. I am standing at DeBees Road and Highway 90, and across the street is supposed to be the 8 Flags display. The 8 Flags display is gone, has disappeared, and that's just the beginning of an absolutely amazing scene.
You know, watching this and having other people watch this from outside of the area, they're like, oh, well, that's just a reporter, and he's trying to make it seem so intense. But that was everybody's reaction.
Yeah, take
you
a look
just
at the
feel like you have to
B-roll, as we
scream.
say.
You're like, it's not there. How can it not be there? How you can't fathom, and it doesn't do justice to see it even like this unless you see it with your own eyes. It's so much more horrendous.
No, you're right.
Yeah, this
was not the worst. I mean, this is at least there was some structure left. See that apartment complex right there? There's a set of condominiums right next door to there, and I'm not sure if those aren't them. That there were 2 men that stayed in the upstairs, and their brothers of friends of mine, and I had to go down the next day.
That condo right
No,
there.
no. There's a set of little condos smaller than that. It's actually back. And I had to go down the next day and look for them. I found out later they survived, but their condo was completely ripped out. And I was not looking forward to going down there to see if they were okay because I didn't know how they survived.
You know, our general manager wouldn't let us leave for a while. I mean, what was is
And
it
yet
like
this is part of
5?
the crew that went looking for Rebecca and Ben.
Yeah, there were a couple of crews that went out. Our general manager and station manager / news director and Tony Miles went out. Huh? And Todd went. And then I went. I mean,
You know something?
that was our main unaccounted for
It's 3
person.
months later, and I still haven't gone out.
Same here.
I have not. People say, why not? I said, because I've seen it before. I mean, I've seen this, but I have not gone out and personally seen it. And I just, I'm going to have to do it.
Here we go. This is the president.
And the president is still right there to this day.
3 months later.
Yep.
Now, this is the one that amazes me.
That
That's
is
actually 3
huge.
barges that have been put together over the years.
And you don't take them, you have to take them apart. You can't take the whole thing at one time. It's gotta
You
be
know, I hate
taken
to
down
say
piece
it
by
at this
piece.
point, but it's the I told you so. When they said that these storms would withstand this type of storm, I looked at them.
These barges?
Yeah, these barges. I looked at them, I said, no, they won't. You've got to be kidding me. It just isn't mechanically, engineeringly possible for anything to withstand the onslaught of a Category 3, 4, 5 storm. Now we know. That's the marina where the president was. Hey, the moorings are still there.
I'm standing here in front of the Biloxi Ocean Springs Bridge.
You know the thing that I have the hardest time coming to grips with?
What's that?
Look at
The
that.
damage, but how many, just think about it. Every time you see a home completely damaged and gutted, think about the family that has worked their whole life to put that together. It may not be much, but it's theirs.
Yeah.
And in one night, everything they worked for, everything they're proud of, everything is gone.
And the reverberation, not only, in other words, does this
there's the
event
Golden
affect
Fisherman.
the family in that household, but family members who may live 1,000 miles away.
Exactly. And I went through this in 1965. My family was totally wiped out in Hurricane Betsy. Totally wiped out. I remember wearing borrowed shirts. I remember eating canned beef from the welfare people for 3 or 4 months because that's all we had. And to think about the magnitude of it, Grand Isle was one island with 1,500 people. We're talking about, 11 communities with hundreds of thousands of people.
This was no question a life-changing event for,
Yeah.
I would conservatively say, hundreds of thousands of people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even people that weren't here. I mean, I know my parents were affected by it very much because they didn't know if I was dead or alive. And there was no way to communicate.
Correct.
And so when you finally get through and you finally hear the voices and the how upset they are, then you get upset. And, it's still, we'll get upset to this day thinking about it.
Well, and this whole charrette process about how we're going to rebuild the coast better, bigger and better, I don't know. I'm kind of convoluted in my thinking. We have to get these people's lives back to them somehow or the other. In other words, build the houses back, build the communities back.
We've
And,
got to get businesses
the
back,
communities
too.
in some cases weren't the nicest communities in the world. There were parts of the communities that were problem areas because of different assorted. You're never going to get rid of that in a perfect world, but that was part of the character of this coast, is that type of thing. We can't build everything back to be absolutely perfect, but we do need to build back. Look at this. This is just...
I can remember this video coming out and seeing all this stuff for the first time.
See, look at the piles of debris. Where did that debris come from? There's nothing south of the coast or south of the 90 that would bring. That had to come from north of here.
I think that Cruz had been in, though,
Perhaps
and
right ahead
started
of it.
shoveling
Oh, you think that's what it
stuff.
was? You think people were pushing debris up in piles?
I think.
Yeah, that looks like a pile, a man-made pile there, yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh, look at this. There was a trawl shop right up there where the guy repaired trawls. I think it's probably right there. I remember going in there and doing a talking to him. Oak Street in Biloxi. You go up there, and of course, now here you go. These are all fishermen's cottages. These are people's lives right there. I mean, it's just so discouraging. Look how far.
I was about to say, it's unbelievable.
Look how
and
far
Steve
in
just
it
said
goes.
Oh, I know. I mean, driving down Broad Avenue today in Gulfport, it's
Now,
still,
in
I'm like,
East
I see a
Biloxi,
pile of cars.
In East Biloxi, the railroad tracks were not a savior because once the water got high enough, it came in from both sides. And the bay, between the bay and the front. It was just...
A good example of that is D'Iberville.
Exactly. And even in parts of Gulfport, because the water came back up the drainage systems that would normally drain water away, well, they acted as a conduit. The water got in behind the railroad tracks and flooded communities that never, ever would have flooded before. Now, we're on Division or Howard? I mean, look at this. Again, not the swankiest part of town, but certainly a lot of people that work hard and work week to week to make a paycheck live right there.
And remembering all of the electric people that were down here and seeing the caravans.
Well, there they are right there. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, there were so many. I mean, they got our electricity back.
Yeah, how long were you without power, Gary?
I was out 3 or 4 days max.
I was out a week and a half, I think.
61 days for the kid.
Yeah.
Over
Yeah,
here.
but you were up there where...
Your house was, I mean, gutted.
And it was, I danced.
And I was very lucky.
Danced when we got elected. Whee!
Yeah.
All right, this was really, really great.
You know, everybody
How-
talks about my
how
house.
precious those simple things are.
I live 3 blocks from the station, but believe me, I did a lot of research before I bought that house. I'm on the trunk line to the hospital. I'm in probably one of the highest points on the coast. So it's been a blessing because, like I said, I don't think I've ever been without electricity for 3 or 4 days.
Except for when you were in Grand Isle.
Well,
Yeah.
90 days. I'm not even sure when the electricity came on. But you know the thing I remember about that? Of course, I was 16, so it was a big adventure.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll never forget about that, other than the buying of sausages that I can't stand to this day, is grabbing a bar of
Beanie
soap,
weenies here.
going into the Gulf of Mexico, and taking a
taking a
bath
bath.
in the Gulf of Mexico
Ugh.
in salt water. I mean, that's all you had.
Yeah.
And we have had a
Wow,
real
look at that.
lesson in the caustic effect of salt water, haven't we?
You know, I was out here on the anniversary of Camille this past August, and it was actually the first time that I had been out there.
Oh, this is Church
This
of
is
the
the Church of the
Redeemer.
Redeemer, and this is where I was that morning of the anniversary of Camille this past year, just a couple of weeks before Katrina. The bell tower survived Camille, but not Katrina. That's exactly what Steve just said.
I have a video of the day they
I remember you
dedicated
being live
this.
out
Yeah,
there.
we were live.
I remember
And
that. I was working.
I asked the photographer to climb up in the bell tower and shoot down on that memorial from the bell tower. That video now is gold because there's no bell tower. Of course, now we're going into the Christmas season, and one of the things that I used to do every year was Jeff Lawson, Alice Lawson, their dog, and I would all go down to the Church of Redeemer and pick out their Christmas tree. How I got roped into that many years ago, I don't know.
Just lucky, Mike. Just
But we would
lucky.
pick out their Christmas tree, and I was part of picking out that tree. And we would load it up, and we would take it home, and we would put it up. Well, 2005, that's not going to happen, is it? I just wish the Church of the Redeemer somehow or the other could figure out how to put their Christmas tree lot up.
You know what's amazing? I've heard Steve say gone, and I say that a lot. It's either gone or gutted, especially along the immediate coast.
There's the memorial right there.
And gone just still doesn't seem like is a word that does justice to what is no longer here.
Do you rebuild that memorial, and then do you build a bigger memorial around that memorial and put the names? You know something? I would put the Camille Memorial in the shadow.
There were lives lost there too. That doesn't.
But then build bigger slabs behind it, and have it overshadow the Camille Memorial. Wouldn't that be appropriate?
Well, I don't know if it should overshadow it because people lost their lives.
Well, but it says to me, in my mind, it says yes, there is something bigger and worse, and hopefully it will get the message across that what we've been saying is don't judge your survivability from one storm. Of course, this flagpole was bent on purpose to show.
It's bent even more now.
Well, yeah, it is.
And the flag's not there.
You know, as you were talking about a moment ago, Mike, we will see, perhaps not in our lifetime, storms that were even stronger or will be even stronger than Katrina.
Right.
Damage even more intense.
Well, let's put it this way. Say maybe not in our lifetime. I'm going to say I hope not in our lifetime because I don't want to work another one like this.
Oh, there's the bell.
I will, but I don't want to.
Well, but that's another thing is that,
Do you guys get
hitting a major city? There are a lot of major cities now building up along the coast.
Yeah, due to just common sense.
Right.
Do you get phone calls in the weather office from people before the storm saying, man, I hope that hurricane comes here. Man, it's going to be great. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a thrill.
Well, only from people that wanted to come in and build
people
stuff
who do
back.
not know. It does not happen anymore.
No.
That's for sure. And I don't think we're going to hear much of that from anybody who had any experience with Katrina or any other real hurricane.
There are no more storms out there, are there? I got it last night.
One of the things that pre this is some folks along the coast want this type of storm, not necessarily this magnitude, but because it generates work.
I was out there with Brad when he was doing this story. That was the day after.
Where are you?
That is out at the pavilion, Rice Pavilion,
out
at Jones Park. That was like the storage shed. That's Port of Gulfport, and it was just like I was just baffled. Just what? How did this happen? Ran into Lester Holt.
Water.
Talked to him for a little bit, and you know what they were asking me the most about?
What?
Your anchor, Rebecca. She jumped out of her house. That was all over the country about how that happened. I stood right next to that.
The night before, we went back into our vaults and pulled out some video because we wanted to show people what the aftermath of Camille looked like, just to kind of give them some type of idea. And the interesting thing was that if you look at the video from Camille down around the Gulfport port, it's almost like, you got to be kidding me, because the paper rolls are there again. After Camille, there were paper rolls all over the place down there.
There's still paper rolls on Broad.
But I'm saying the paper rolls 35 years later, they're the same paper rolls. Not the same ones, but the same type.
That was a hard thing after the storm, too. People saying, my landlord's kicking me out. I don't have anywhere to go.
Mm-hmm. Did you truly expect this much damage and devastation?
No. I expected some, but I didn't expect this much.
I didn't think something would hit here this hard.
What we are facing here in Biloxi is that this city was decimated on many levels.
The magnitude of it is mind-boggling. I'm guessing tens of thousands of homes are gone.
Including his.
Yeah.
Of course, that's Congressman Gene Taylor. And you were saying bringing equality afterwards. Rich, poor, powerful.
Exactly. Yeah, this was not a discriminating storm.
That one there, over there behind me, all of us got messed up.
everywhere you can go around through here and look, you drop your head.
You're mad, you're angry, you're hurt, you're sad, you're glad to be alive, and yet you're devastated. That was our home.
It's true. Emotions run the gamut.
And that's what I was talking about. That was our home.
I mean, I felt like a manic depressive for a while. I mean, up, down with your emotions.
I guess one good thing on the upside of watching all of this is we see it, we hear it, but we don't smell it.
That's right. Well, there's still some pretty
rough.
bad smells out there, but...
Well, here's the interesting thing.
Long Beach was hit really
The guilt
badly.
factor. My house, for the most part, withstood pretty well. I will say this. I've had that house for about 15 years, and every year I do something to that house to further strengthen it against a hurricane, and all my efforts seem to have worked out. But, I had some roof damage, a little bit of interior damage, but then the guilt factor is, hey, I'm perfect. I'm okay. I'm okay. My son's okay because he lives right next door to me. And you see all these people.
And it's really just unbelievable.
The things that I really need, I'm unable to find. Clothes, pictures, that sort of thing. That you can replace clothes, but you can't replace pictures. Just everything's gone. Just total devastation. The whole neighborhood's gone.
I know it's just stuff, but it's like all your pictures and wedding dress, and it's just weird. And I used to love, we were so happy here.
It's so hard
This
watching
is
people
terrible.
get so upset.
Never seen anything like this in my life. I hope I never do again. This is terrible. Just destroyed, just gone.
I can remember watching Good Morning America when that was coming up, and just saying, that's us. That's not somewhere else. That's us.
That's right. How many times have you seen something like this and you're kind of like the spectator?
Yes, the other guy, but not in this case.
And I was a mess for quite a few days.
She has her flag. I wonder what that flag was.
There's O'Charlie's that we saw in the earlier video.
Well, this is what amazes me.
These bridges, I know.
Of course, there's the library.
Nice touch.
Yep, this is the First Baptist Church.
This is pre-Katrina, and need I say more?
Before Katrina
and
and
this
after
is the drive
Katrina.
I have to make at some point, just so I can... Oh, grass lawn. I remember
it's
going
so
to the
bright.
lighting
Oh,
of the
yeah.
Christmas trees, the international Christmas trees.
There it is.
There it isn't.
Yeah.
It's amazing. How long has that structure been there?
Since like 1909.
Is this
Oh, no,
Brazil?
grass lawn is
Or that
18
was
18, okay.
Brazil.
I drove by the sign every day. That's what makes me really mad at myself, is not soaking up these beautiful memories of what it was
There's
before.
Brazils.
And now, like I'm just saying, I can't tell you how many times I rode by that sign. Grass lawn established in whatever year.
That to me is, I guess everybody's going to say, that to me is amazing.
They've got cement in the bottom of that boat.
Oh, I know.
is
I've
why
been
it's
in
there.
that boat. I'm surprised it's there because it's also a rust bucket. Well, it was there. It was blown up on the water, or on land during Camille. That's where it sat, and they basically just turned it around, poured concrete around it, put a little gift shop around it, and it's been let's face it, it's the coast landmark. The
Well,
lighthouse in Camille.
Well, now it's like you would look and you would see
Marine life.
boats that are like 3 blocks inland, from Katrina.
Yeah, there's still one up in that cemetery up on Lorraine Road, and I don't know how they're going to get that out of there.
Ah, look at that.
I mean,
I remember being really, the trees, all the greenery and how pretty, and everything was just so dead.
One of our
looking,
staffers
and
had the foresight, and I don't know who it was, to go out and shoot this just before the storm. And it probably was one of the most outstanding things that somebody could have done to document the changes.
Well, and it's still, you know, a lot of people from outside of the area, they can look at it and say, wow, that's awful, but they didn't know how great it was before.
Oh, this is the town green. I mean, gee whiz, I always wondered if maybe the city of Biloxi sold their soul when they built the Hard Rock Casino in front of the town green, but now it's kind of a moot point.
Here's the president on top of
the Holiday Inn,
the old
Express,
Holiday
right
Inn.
by the Coliseum.
And of course, this is the houses. I mean, look at this, the houses.
House after house.
You know, I talked to my wife about this.
Church
I
of
said,
the
you know,
Redeemer
every
again.
Saturday night we'd hop in the car and we would head west down toward either the Gulfport Grand, to be honest with you, or the Cope, and we'd eat dinner. And as we'd drive down there, we'd make comments about some of our friends' houses or some of the buildings, or look, they put some decorations up. It's not going to happen again. I mean, you're not going to, those houses aren't there. Those landmarks aren't there.
There's some that are building back. I mean,
yeah, but they're not there. They're not the same ones.
A lot of the people
No,
are
they're
still
not
here.
the same
And
ones.
so, you know, it's the houses didn't come up by magic. The people made it happen, and the people will make it happen again.
Look at this, that condo. You know, not that condo right next door. I almost bought a condo. I almost bought one of those condos. I said, man, it'd be neat to live here, right next to the mall. I would look in the beach. But something told me, being my experience with hurricanes, you don't buy on the beach. You can't afford the insurance. This is Beauvoir here.
Yeah, that's the house.
Hey, this old cast iron relic's still standing there. Isn't
Hey, they don't make them like that.
I wonder how
anymore.
many dents that thing has in it. I'd like to really go over there and have somebody take a survey of it, because I bet you that thing got beat up pretty good. So there was some destruction.
I just can't imagine. I mean, being here was hard enough, but being in your house and having to swim out.
Well, you experience hell.
What you've been through, what you're going through.
And the wind and stuff and the water was coming in. We seen the rooftop cover, and that's what was scared, you know. All you seen was the water coming over.
Man, where can I start? The buildings were collapsing one at a time. And this last one, walls started shaking. I got my family out. I told everybody else to get out.
Said water come up within seconds, and they would have drowned if the wall hadn't blown out.
We were in the house. The water was rising so fast. At first it was 1.5 feet, and we were just trying to save everything we could save.
We started packing up, got the dog and cat, and then the water started coming into the carpet. And then the water started getting really high, and then we saw it like halfway up our cars.
We watched the house next door to us get destroyed as the storm surge came up to the house.
This is where I stayed and my eyes took pictures continually of cars floating, of tires, debris, I mean of numbers on houses actually disappearing. And this is where I stayed for 2.5 or 3 hours, and I guess I kept praying to the Lord.
She hung on to her mama, but they washed up the road on a house that was crumbling. She couldn't hang on to her no longer.
The whole parking lot then went underwater, and right when we started probably getting at least 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts, the bottom floor started getting totally submerged.
And I'm seeing my grandmother's cedar chest smashing, my TV, all the plates smashing, everything, my crucifix off the wall falling.
After it kept rising, we were in the attic. We had to get out of the attic, break into our next door neighbor's 2-story house to get up in the top of their house.
All I could hear was just the wind and stuff hitting my house and the tree limbs hitting my house. And I just started praying so hard because my mama, they were supposed to come to my house. And we're like, because her house is small. And I'm like, okay, Mama, y'all come to my house.
Everybody was following me. And I went with the current down the street, actually, and ran into this first house, went inside this first house, and watched this last of this second floor go.
So I watched my TV float, my sofa, my chair, my rocking chair, which was antique, a cane bottom rocking chair. My swing that I kept on the porch, it was my mother's. I had just redone it, put new chains, you know, and I watched it go, you know, and the reason I don't have anything left in the home but myself, which I'm glad that I do, is because my home was open, my front door.
The roof, one side of it, the back side started like like flapping, and then it just, the roof went off. And then my husband yelled, "Get off the phone, we gotta go."
And I was just praying so hard because I knew
Get
that
off
if
the
they
phone, we
weren't
gotta go.
saved, that they were gone.
The doors started popping out, the windows in the front started popping out, I guess from the water.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that is the story to be told. Rebecca was on the phone with our executive producer.
Yeah, I
And-
had called her and said, "Can you hear us on TV bandwidth?" And she was like, "No, we can't." And that's why she called back. She was like, "Oh, Carrie called and said that we told her we couldn't hear, but we can." And she said, and then it was just like,
Got up another 6 feet, then obviously we would have been, underwater inside. So it's pretty scary in regards to not knowing how much the water is going to come up.
I can't imagine that would be really scary. When is it going to stop rising?
We had flashlights. We kept flashing down.
Yeah, that's a
looking, and
sinking
the water
feeling.
kept rising.
And you
Ugh.
watch your possessions
Can't
leave,
imagine.
and you don't even care, because that's not life. Your possessions are not life. I was saving my life at the time. My possessions were leaving. I would have done nothing to hold on to them.
All I noticed, it
She
was
had that
just
puppy dog, though, didn't
devastating.
she?
Yeah.
You
Watch
notice
these
that?
buildings
That dog
just
was
fall,
staying in her lap.
one at a time.
I don't think that
I
dog
ended up
wanted
in
to
the
go
attic
anywhere.
with my 2 dogs, and we just watched the water come up to the attic line, and there were white caps coming through the house.
And then that sense of panic started of, we got to have a way to get out of here.
We thought about almost jumping to our neighbor's house. Thank God we didn't. That was obliterated, we think. Our other neighbor said by a tornado.
And by the time it was over, I went out on my porch and it missed all the wind. And I'm sitting there on a column looking at this water just come whirling back to the bay. And it was unbelievable.
Like I said, I waited it out, and the water started to subside.
And once we realized the water had almost stopped rising, there was a sense of relief. And then it started actually dropping.
And I kept a bottle of holy water on my table. I'm Catholic. And that holy water floated to me, and I kissed it. And I said, "Lord, the same water that you blessed me with," I get the chill, "is the same water you could have chose to take my life with." And the water began to recede.
Wow.
At this point, it feels like it's starting to go out. You can see it moving. See the water? Now look, see it's going out. It's starting to drop. Look at that.
Wow.
That water's going out the front door.
Water goes out just about as quick as it comes
Beginning to
in.
drop as we speak.
About an hour later, some brave firefighters started walking along all the rubble, holding the gutters to balance themselves, yelling, "Is anyone in here? Is anyone in here?"
And after the storm, my sister right here and them come to the house. And when she jumped out the car, it was a blessing because I thought I would never see my family again.
Katrina had blown hurricane-strength winds across our community for about 8 hours. And she brought with her a storm surge that had never been seen before in South Mississippi's history. 35 feet in some areas. The destruction was overwhelming.
I talked to one of my friends in Nashville that I'd graduated high school with. And I told her that I don't think I'll be able to talk about it in 10 years without getting upset. And I still feel that way.
It's good to get away from here for a while.
Yeah.
But on the downside of getting away from here, when you come back again, I was on a recent trip at a conference, and I drove deliberately to be able to see the subtle improvement in the quality of life. And then when you come back, it's like, oh, here we go again. Back to the war zone again.
Right.
Reality check.
Well, from our capacity, we're expected to go out and talk to the community. I don't want to go out and talk to the community. I know we're going to come up next year, beginning of hurricane season, and we're going to go out and do our same thing, telling people to get prepared and everything. And they're going to want to ask about this storm. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's any more that can be said about this storm. I mean, what are you going to do? I think we have to look forward from the standpoint of that thing and just use the lessons learned here. But this thing about what do you think about this and I don't have anything to add.
Probable that a lot of people who obviously will be here come next hurricane season will be, passing the word along about their experiences to people who do not know for years to come.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We'll get some help, some testimonial help from
I talked to,
experienced
even
people.
to this, not anymore, but up to this storm, you talk to Camille survivors, and they all have a story to tell, especially the ones that survived the storm here.
Wow, remember these guys passing overhead day after day after day?
Still. There's still people.
What is the helicopter, the military helicopter with the two?
CH-47s.
I saw one of those over in Gulfport drop off some MREs, and people just running for them after the storm.
There's another commodity, ice.
Oh, yeah.
We've been out of ice. We've been out of electricity since Sunday.
How long were you in line for your ice?
About an hour and a half or so.
And everybody's hot, thirsty, and we need ice.
Oh, it was so hot.
Really?
After the storm. I mean...
Which is kind of unusual, because usually
no
you get...
air. I mean, there was no electricity, so there was no... I mean, it was just...
Good thing, though, the weather was really dry.
Yeah, it was extremely dry.
Just what we needed because of
still dry.
This right here.
You know, there are still people getting ice today. There are still people that don't have electricity. Tom, remember you said 61 days. You were getting ice long after.
Yeah,
It was
I had no refrigerator.
Yeah, and there are still people over in parts of Hancock County that are still having to use ice.
Yeah.
3 months later. And we have to all remember, south of the railroad tracks in most locations, there is no infrastructure down there. Here they are.
That was amazing.
You know who I think in the aftermath, who the heroes of this storm are, other than the power companies? The religious groups.
Yeah.
The churches.
The churches.
I think a lot of people would have suffered a lot more had it not been for these Christian groups getting together, coming down here, setting up food kitchens, setting up clinics, and the hippies.
Yeah.
That group in Waveland, that hippie group that came over here, hippies from the Tommy our era, hippies, you know, you laugh about them, Flower Child.
There's so many people. It just really brings a sense of happiness, because it shows how many people really care in the world. And again, bringing it back to always being an outsider, looking at stuff like the tsunami and looking at, you know, other places where hurricanes hit. You never think it's going to happen to you. And when you're in that area and you feel that love, you know why you've given in the past, so that when you're in need, people will give to you as well.
I don't think you will ever find another, there it is right there. I don't think you will ever find another country in the world that people will just give just so freely of their time and their material possessions as you do in the United States.
The most charitable nation in the world. More
and Mississippi,
charity in this
one of the
country
most
than
charitable
all other
states.
nations combined. And you're right, Carrie. We are
per capita
numero uno when it comes to charity in Mississippi.
Yeah, but you know, you talk about giving to the United Way, and you talk about this, and which is great. But I'm talking about, look at this. I mean, these are people that have taken time out from their life to come down here,
and are still doing it.
So they're some of these outfits are rotating their people in and out.
I've had calls from Ramona Valley, California. Preacher friends of mine there, Rochester, New York.
And another thing to think about that I had said to some people, I'd said it on air, you know, after the storm, anybody that you've ever come across in your life and you told them where you were from and you made an impression on them, they're thinking about you right now, because they're like, you know, I remember I met someone from down there. I wonder if they're okay. So anybody that may have felt alone, they weren't alone, because they have come across someone in their life that was thinking about them. There were so many hearts crying for South Mississippi and just breaking for South Mississippians.
As to what happened in Mississippi, you folks fell on your face. You get an F- in my book.
Well, I guess you want me to be the superhero.
Ultimately, the FEMA director resigned.
You know, I'm going to tell you something. In the aftermath there, FEMA took a lot of heat, and the government is still taking a lot of heat. But when you look at the massiveness of this situation, it doesn't get better overnight. not everybody can be helped in the same day.
Everybody FEMA was faced with the same logistical problems.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not
was.
defending them or not defending them. I'm just saying I think in this world of instant gratification, everybody wants to be helped right away. And again, I go back and I say the Christian organizations are the ones that filled the gap.
Well, and Tommy, how long before you got your FEMA trailer?
Quite a while.
I mean, you know, you were able to stay elsewhere, and it was people that were staying in tents first and whatnot.
Well, did you stay elsewhere? I thought you stayed in your house.
I stayed with some friends. I spent a lot of time here at the television station for sure, and I stayed with some friends. And eventually, until the weather got cool, I would stay in my own place and live with the insects and gosh only knows what all else.
Was your dog with you?
Yeah, Dudley was there.
Dudley was
there? Yeah.
Dudley doesn't bite you when you walk
there.
in the door?
He's the neighborhood mascot. Everybody loves Dudley.
But, I mean, I think people have to understand, and this is the frustration I face all the time, is you have to be able to be independent for 3 to 7 days.
At least.
We did a pretty good job of it down here. Now, we always say get your hurricane supplies ready, but somebody pointed out to me, well, what happens if your hurricane supplies were in your house and the house got wiped out? And that is a valid point.
Yeah.
But you look at Hurricane Wilma in
that
South
comes
Florida.
to evacuating, too.
And the winds were still blowing and people were lining up for help. And it's like, wait a minute, you didn't get flooded. Your house is still there. So I think we have to learn from this lesson that
these mobile homes are ready to go.
That's right. No, sir, they're not.
Then what's the problem with them?
They're not, I don't even know exactly. I just know that
Well,
I need to go get some
if you
paperwork.
say they're not ready, you're not sure exactly, what's the problem?
Yes, sir. Well, like I said, I've talked to our public affairs office.
Even with the slow response, there was recovery.
AJ was like the dog hound. He was like the pit bull of FEMA trailers.
Really? Way to
He
go,
wouldn't
AJ.
let go. And it got a lot of people in trailers faster, I think.
Well, you could the term I coined, and I don't know if again it was original, the federal quagmire. You talk about the federal bureaucracy, but unfortunately,
Mother-in-law a phone number to call, and she's been trying ever since, and it's been busy every day.
We want to get them through this process as fast as we can. We hate that they're out in the heat like this. We're giving them ice water, food, as much supplies as we can do. We're trying to provide shade for them.
now there was a Red Cross food truck that went through our neighborhood for weeks after the storm, and they would show up at midday and they would show up in the evening, and they would actually announce over their little PA system in the
Here we
truck,
come.
I had
here we
that in
come,
Long
here's the
Beach,
food.
too. Like 3 weeks ago, I was still hearing it.
They're still working in some
It's still going
places.
through my neighborhood, and here it is almost Christmas as we make this recording.
Now here's going to be a test, and I think we're already starting to see it. Is the federal government going to come through? I mean, we're already starting to see the inertia starting to set in because, again, the vastness of this problem. We're down here in the middle of it saying, hey, we need to get things back together.
These people have already lost just about everything that they own, and looters have been reportedly crawling through the debris here, picking up things, taking them away.
Let me make this statement and make it very plain. I got over 1,000 people in the jail right now that doesn't have electricity, doesn't have water, doesn't have toilet facilities. It's hot, and we're running out of food. But you know what? I'm gonna make room for any looters. I've already told all the police chiefs, you send them, and they've been sending them. And if I gotta stack them in the hallways, if you loot, you're going to jail here in South Mississippi.
And you know, they did a really good job. I mean, there was obviously some looting here, but it looked like there was a lot more with our neighbors to the west.
You see the worst of people in some events like in
And you
events
see the
like
best
this, and
of
you see the
people.
best of others.
Yeah, the weasels are going to come out, let's face it. But
And they are.
for the most part, I don't know if we've ever looked at the numbers. I want to know what that building
Look at
is
those
there
houses
that's almost
just
perfect.
moved. That amazes me still.
There will be no more tours of historic Tullis Manor in Biloxi. Hurricane Katrina.
You know, I was on the brick committee with the O'Keefe Museum of Art, that new museum that now the Biloxi Grand Casino sits on
Well,
top
let me
of.
ask you a question. I'm glad you are, because do you think building the Orr O'Keefe Museum right where they want to build it is smart?
Well, I mean, I think there's a yes and a no to that. I mean, it's beautiful, and do you just...
Is it beautiful today?
I guess it depends on how you build
but was it beautiful before the storm, and will it be in another, year or two? Yeah, it will be beautiful again.
How many millions of dollars are being put into that property to be totally wiped out just like that? I mean,
I see where you're coming from.
Even when they built that down there, I was one of the people that said, "Are you crazy? You're talking about artifacts that." Did they get all the art? There weren't any art pieces in there. I know there were art pieces at the Beau Rivage.
Look at the Walter Anderson Museum. What you got left there? Not a lot.
I mean, it's just the fact that...
Well, but they had gotten most of that out. It's actually the Anderson family, from what I thought I understood, that they actually lost stuff at their house.
I just don't know.
Oh, is this after?
Yeah.
That doesn't look too horrible, actually. I mean, right there it doesn't. Now, the pods and stuff that they were building,
that doesn't look too
not so good.
I just think this was a bad idea in planning, and a bad idea that the Pleasant House or Pleasant Reed House is gone. I mean,
that's the casino sitting on top of that.
Well, the Pleasant
land.
Reed House was on the back of the property, so... But we just have to realize that if you're in the velocity zone, you just can't build things there and expect them not to be destroyed at some point in history.
But it seems to be human nature to want to live on the water.
know. No. I don't think Tullis was gone before the Grand landed on it, because Tullis, the old story is... I mean, look, Beau Rivage to some extent... I think some of Tullis would have been there.
Tullis Manor destroyed. Grass Lawn destroyed. The Father Ryan House destroyed. The Seafood Museum destroyed. The list from state line to state line.
J.L. Scott destroyed. I know it's not historical, but...
Beauvoir. Yeah, but those barrier islands still...
you got to look at the aerials of the barrier islands and know they're especially...
Well, I'm just saying that helped us still. I mean, as much as people are like, oh, that didn't help us. Think about how much worse it could have been had they not been there.
I have to disagree with you. The water was over the top of those barrier islands.
Went right over them.
Right over them. Those barrier islands.
I still think, though, I think it could have been a lot worse.
You look at the Big Barrier Chandelier Islands. Oh, it's unbelievable. It's almost not there anymore. And you have friends that have houses on Chandelier, right? Wasn't that where, or was it Cat Island?
Cat. I think it helped a little bit. I mean, not much, obviously. I mean, look at our landscape here, but I think it could have gone even over the railroad tracks more had the barrier islands not been there. Just a personal opinion, though.
You notice I'm not answering.
Oh, yeah. Which is fine. We can agree to disagree, Mike.
Here's an interesting thing I've talked to some folks about. Do the mortgage companies hold any liability for not having required flood insurance on these properties? In other words,
yeah, I've pondered that myself. Thank you for allowing me to buy a house in a flood zone, and
not a non-flood zone, but it's all of a sudden
non-flood zone.
You have to pay as the homeowner for all the loss. Why didn't the mortgage company hedge their bets in a coastal zone and say, no, we want you to have flood insurance? Because they're not going to, unless something changes, they're not going to lose any money.
Yeah, they're being noticeably quiet in the midst of all this for guys like me, anyway.
Well, for guys like thousands of you, I mean, if you're in a legitimate flood zone, first off, if you're in a legitimate flood zone and you have a mortgage, you had flood insurance.
Look at that. I got rid of that really quickly.
Yeah.
It blew it up because it was right in the middle of the highway.
Here we go.
Now, one thing I think we need to clarify, that was not the whole Grand Casino barge. That was the
No.
entertainment barge,
Yeah.
which was a separate barge. And I'm trying to think of where that barge came from.
It came from the end. Like, that's
Yeah,
where...
but I'm talking about what it was originally. Somehow I remember that being, I don't know if they built it from the ground up, but that had all the restaurants in it.
Yeah.
And the entertainment complex. I've eaten many a meal on that barge. They had a restaurant there called New Orleans Bistro. I loved it.
Oh, yeah, it was good.
Lazy Man Chipino.
And their little sports bar was awesome.
Came back, and with it a real sense that things were beginning to get back to normal.
It's a good opportunity for the kids and the coaches as well, and as well as the fans to get out and get things off their minds for a little while.
There was one final bright spot among all the post-storm activity. Dolphins from Marine Life, the popular Gulfport tourist attraction, destroyed by Katrina, had been found in the Gulf.
Amazing.
Nearby, healthy and ready to be rescued.
These are animals that have depended on us, and we are responsible for them.
They had somehow amazingly
This was a huge
stayed
national
together
story,
during the
too.
storm.
That was one of the most amazing stories to me, that these animals stayed together, and then when they went out to get them, they're like, "Hey, where you been? Glad to see you." The idea that returning them to the natural environment, because you got to remember, these animals were bred, born, and raised in captivity, so.
Yeah.
In the weeks, months, and years ahead. But since those last hours when we all walked out and saw the destruction that Katrina had left behind, there have been signs of hope, like the lighthouse that somehow survived the storm's fury. There are other signs of hope as well in our community. Spray-painted messages on plywood debris, neighbors and strangers helping each other, and American flags. Flags planted in fields of debris, flags draped over shells of homes, and flags hanging on houses that survived. We leave you with those images, the ones that have come to symbolize South Mississippi life in the aftermath.
Another thing, I can remember my first bit of hope was seeing the new blooms, and most of it was on crepe myrtles at first, but seeing those new blooms.
Yeah, Mother Nature has a way of healing herself, and
Oh, yeah.
you get into the coastal areas, you see all these gnarled old oak
Well,
trees.
And the word Katrina means cleansing. And I mean, hurricanes are a way for
Well,
Mother Nature to cleanse herself.
I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
I sure hope I don't go through another cleansing like that.
I think everybody does.
Tommy sounds kind of like a high colonic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Some things you don't want.
And I'm sad, but I'm glad that I'm alive and well, and I've got my daughter and my grandkids. We don't have a house no more, but we got ourselves, and we're going to rebuild.
I tell you what, I appreciate my family
Yes.
more now than I did before. I mean, they
Yes.
used to aggravate me to no end, but knowing they're okay and knowing they're with me and knowing
And they're
that,
knowing you're okay.
yeah, I mean, I called my brother 3 or 4 days after the storm, and he said, "Boy, am I glad to hear from you." I said, "Why?" He says, "Well, according to the national media, you guys were wiped out. WLOX didn't exist." So my family, who was out of the area that was watching the national, thought for all practical purposes that I was dead.
Yeah, I went for about 3 weeks before I could speak with anybody in my family. Cell phone service, you know what a disaster that was.
Yeah.
There you go, 228
Yeah.
on cell phones. Text messaging became a way of life for many of us. But just the way it was. But it was so good to hear from the family. And then the support
Yeah.
of the family, the support of total strangers, the support of friends, people you haven't even met yet.
Right.
It's really a heartwarming experience.
Well, I guess we can all now say we're going to be part of watching this coast build
Rebuild.
again after
Yeah.
Hurricane Katrina.
And it will be back bigger and better. I fully believe that.
I hope so.
It's going to rebuild, I hope. We have nothing right now, but I'm hoping that everybody will come back and build it bigger and better.
And remember, keep the wind to your back.
As you're heading north in advance of the next storm. I mean, let's face it.
I'm just so glad to, for some reason, still be here and to know that I'm going to be a part of bringing it back.
I stop and think
'Cause it's
about that
sad
once
right
in a
now.
while. You know, we're part of one of the most historical events that ever happened in the United States.
In one of the country's most historical places.
I mean, our names will go into somewhere in the historical registers as the guy that did the weather, the guys and gals that did the weather when Hurricane Katrina devastated South Mississippi. Don't know if I like that idea, but it's a fact.
There's actually a family debate on whether or not it's the right thing to do to live on near the beach. So we're going to rebuild.
Life sure has become a lot more informal
Yes.
since Katrina.
Certainly has.
Strong hearts and strong minds and a lot of strong hands that are going to rebuild.
And you know, this is my home.
Mine too.
And mine.
Mississippi, my home.